Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. I hope you are having a terrific start to your week. I know I am. I've been very excited for this episode, not because of the fact that we didn't have to watch Nashville SC over the weekend, which could be, either good or bad this year. But I get to do a really fun episode with two of my favorite people, and that would be Clay Trainum and Valer Shabilla. Of course, we are Pharmaceutical Soccer, and we are extremely happy to be here. What's up, guys? How's your weekend? So what did you watch any soccer even though Nashville SC didn't have anything going on?
I really didn't. I watched a lot of baseball because I watched the mighty University of Evansville become the 4 seed to beat a number one overall seed in the NCAA tournament when they were at Tennessee over the weekend. Unfortunately, they didn't advance to Omaha, but other than that, unbelievable. Smallest school to ever get within a game of the College World Series. So shout out to Evansville. Also got to watch the Nashville Rhythm. Valer was there. I think it was the best crowd that we've seen at a rhythm game this year.
Yeah,
And
how many people were there for it? Like it seemed like there was a pretty good showing.
probably a few
That's great.
hundred. A lot of people that were making it for the first time this season or the first time ever. Unfortunately, they are the Nashville Rhythm. So in true Nashville fashion, they had their first loss at home in a few years. But they didn't play particularly bad. They were just up against a really good team, and there's Nashville Rhythm. They're still a good team, and we hope you'll go see them play on Wednesday. But other than that, it was just great to have so many warm bodies in the stands for a rhythm game. It's been probably since, well, at least since you lived down here, that we'd had that active a crowd for a rhythm game. So I was really happy about it.
Yeah, same here. I was pretty happy with the Nashville Rhythm game, even though with the loss, it was nice to be out there. Obviously, we've gone to a few games, Clay more than the two of us, but I didn't end up going there last season, so it was good to be able to make it this season. Otherwise, I did watch a lot of soccer. Well, not a lot, but I watched a good bit of soccer. I watched Huntsville. I watched a little bit of MLS on Saturday, the few games that were on.
Which is
Um,
wild to me that I didn't even realize that there were still MLS matches on Saturday as I was going through the weekend. I'm like, wait, what? There's still four games going on?
You and Phil Neville can team up on getting MLS to stop playing during international windows, and I will support you and Phil Neville. Phil Neville spoke against it before his match with Portland, which I totally agree with. Like, I don't know what MLS needs to do, but playing during international break now in the state of MLS is just a little bizarre to me because so many teams have internationals, and you can see it even in Nashville SC's case. Like, Nashville is not the best team in MLS, and they still have three internationals who left, who are starters, who had to go with their international team. So, I think playing is kind of ridiculous, but the only reason they're playing during international break is so they can make Leagues Cup happen. This is a very long tangent for what I was trying to do, which was tell you that I had a pretty calm weekend after traveling last week. Did some yard work and watched soccer and played Fallout. That was it. It was a good
I
time.
mean, you spent 3 minutes last week talking about the League's Cup specifically. So, like, when it comes to you going on tangents for just no reasoning, it's kind of just normal now.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, because like the thing is with the international break and all that, and I get it. Like you want the regular season to have the 34 games, but essentially, MLS is just going to come to a decision where it's like you can't have the 34 games and have your Leagues Cup and not play international windows.
The true story of the Pharmaceutical Soccer podcast is watching Valer get to learn MLS and then get very annoyed about knowing more about MLS. Like that is like that is his character arc in this show is I'm learning about the league. I'm now covering the league. Oh, this all sucks.
It's it's just like I think there's just so much potential and so many good things that are happening in MLS and that could happen. And it just like breaks my heart that like MLS teams did not all participate in the Open Cup. Like stuff like that that's just like Is everything I'm doing kind of pointless and useless? Like, is this even worth it? Like, should I even be paying attention to this, let alone like work in it? Like,
What a
that's what it
positive
feels like.
start to this show.
Oh, one thing. Yeah, this is supposed to be such a fun episode, and we started off in this way. I also love the fact that I mentioned, just made a joke about Blair going on tangents about things randomly. And then, literally, after I mentioned that, he then goes on another tangent about the same thing he did beforehand. It was impressive. I got to bring a couple things up before Valera goes on another tangent. One, am I going to mention something that happened last week before Clay? Because, like, I'm shocked by this. Shout out to the United States cricket team, by the way, with the
Oh,
biggest
of course.
probably upset in the sports history happening. And Clay did not even mention that in his first thing at all.
You know the reason I didn't mention it is because Tony Husband wants to come back on the show to talk about cricket.
Oh my God. Okay, that's
He,
fine.
yeah. So I was texting with him about it, like when it happened. Also, Nashville's Music City Premier League in cricket started over the weekend. So shout out to Nashville Cricket Association while we're at it.
Also, there's a couple reasons why we don't show all of the video to this show specifically. And one of them was Valer getting up to close his door. I will let you view that with that May. But Clay, I also had something over the week that I figured would be more fun. I did not want to give you time to think about this. So I host trivia throughout the weeks, and I had a question that I thought would be extremely particular to Clay, and I want to see how he does with this question. Clay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Apart from the state capital, identify any two of the three most populous cities in Indiana.
Apart from the state capital?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Fort Wayne and Evansville.
Okay, can you name the third one?
I would presume it would be. See, it's interesting. I would presume it'd be somewhere in Chicagoland, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Bloomington.
South Bend, actually. So you did get two. You did get
Yeah,
two,
so
but
I wasn't sure if they would. Yeah, that makes sense
well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
because that's the region. That's the region. So everybody up there, there's a lot of Chicago commuters.
I decided to do that trivia question instead of like fully explaining my weekend, where I didn't want to take 5 minutes to go about talking about Flo Rida after the Nats game, because that was a wild experience on my end. Maybe I'll just describe that on a tweet or something like that. But I told Valera the story. It was extremely wild. Went to a couple of Pride events over the weekend because it was Pride weekend here in DC. So went to the parade. It was really cool to see the European Union have a Pride float during the parade. That was a lot of fun. U.S. men's team was here this weekend as well, and I did not go. As predicted by Valera, I believe. And I'm very happy I did not go. But look, I mean, it was weird to not have any sort of national soccer going on. There wasn't a ton of international stuff as well from national players. I don't even think Shaq Moore saw the field on Saturday. I know Jacob Schaffelberg made a couple appearances. But I did have fun over the weekend going over what we are doing for this episode. Clay, this is a great idea, by the way. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into it after the break, but we are going to be drafting the best goals in Nashville SC history. And what we define as best is going to be our own personal opinions. So I have a feeling that there's going to be some very, very, very subjective calls, but there are some really objective. These are the best goals ever scored by Nashville coming up in the second segment. And I'm looking forward to it because we haven't done anything like this in quite a while. We've gone down memory lane, like in some ways, but we haven't been like, we're going to talk about big moments that have happened over the last several years. So I'm looking forward to it.
But before we get to that, we do have a new Patreon member. So everybody, put your hands together and stand up for Jeffrey for joining the Patreon. I actually met Jeffrey at the Rhythm game through Clay, and then Jeffrey joined the Patreon. So shout out
At
Jeffrey.
halftime.
At halftime, yeah, there you go. It was great. I didn't force anybody to do anything. I just want to go ahead and be clear out there. I just met him, and that was it.
Why is that the first thing you say? Like, I met Jeffrey. I didn't force him to do this thing. Like, what?
I mean, I literally met him, and by the time I sat down, he was a Patreon member. So it made me think like I might have said something, but no. But shout out Jeffrey. Really, really appreciate the support. Again, it costs $5. So it's not a whole lot. $5 a month is not a whole lot for you, maybe, but for us, it means a lot. So join the
And
Patreon.
he's also a Nashville soccer old timer. He made a generous donation to the Nashville Soccer Archive before the game programs, posters from Tennessee Rhythm, from Nashville Retros. Metros and Rhythm were the same organization. Soccer Ball, like some pretty cool stuff. So shout out to him.
Which I used a lot, by the way, when doing my goal draft and prep for this episode. So shout out to the National Soccer Archive. Whoever started that up, it's kind of great. So go check that out as well. All right, look, I mean, we didn't have any national soccer to talk about, but we're going to have a lot more national soccer to talk about after this break when we go into our goal draft, and we'll do that next.
And welcome back to Pharmaceutical Soccer. Clay Trade. I'm joined by Stephen Robinson and Valeria Shabilla for a very special episode. We are doing a goal draft. Each of us are going to compile the 5 best goals in our opinion. It is a draft, so if one of us takes one, the other 2 can't take that as well.
I'm excited to be just a part of a competition that, like, I'm actually like, this is different than prop bets for me, where I'm taking this seriously.
Try.
Yeah, I'm going to try. Absolutely going to try.
So anyway, the way this is going to work is if anybody's done a fantasy draft, they know exactly what it is, but it's going to be a snake draft. So that means whoever picks first in the first round will pick last in the second round, and so on and so forth. And I think that the best way to decide who's going to pick first is to ask Valer and Stephen for a number, and they will decide the order of the draft. Whoever is the closest to that number.
So you don't have the ability to pick first no matter what, though.
Unless you pick me to pick first. You'll decide who goes first and who goes second, who goes third if you get it.
Okay.
Got it. It's just any number?
So I just have to pick a number?
No. I haven't got to that part.
Okay.
How many goals has in official competitions has Nashville SC scored?
Price is Right rules?
Sure.
314.
315.
Well, Stephen gets it.
Yes!
It is 351 goals.
Holy crap, that was so close. That is so close. I was gonna guess like 100 or something, which I know would have been ridiculous, but
yeah, it's 351 goals scored since 2018 by Nashville SC. So, Stephen, what's the order of the draft?
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna go Clay. You get first pick. I'll give Clay first pick. I'll go Valer. I'm gonna take second, and then Valer will go third.
All right. So, Valera, that means you'll get 2 picks in a row.
Yep.
As everyone knows. So
I've played fantasy football. It's the only reason I care about the NFL. Not gonna lie.
It's actually kind of difficult to go first goal because there's like
that's part of the problem. That's why I was
all
like,
know.
I think there's a clear winner. Well,
I mean, I think there's going to be clear winners all around.
I think there's a clear winner, and I don't think it's the one I'm going to pick.
Okay, go on.
So I'm not going to mention the clear winner. Those who know. So I'm going to choose the one that gave me the biggest out-of-body experience at a game. And for that goal was last year.
Don't say
Club America.
Oh, okay.
Club America.
That's the clear winner.
Yeah.
That's the clear winner.
Counterattack, last kick of the game to tie it up. Yes. Bring it back from the death. Thought the tournament was ending. I don't know what I did. Like, I felt like I was going to collapse. Like, that's how unbelievable it felt in the stands when he scored.
That was my number one. I thought that was a clear winner. I just couldn't see anybody taking not that goal as the first one. And I mean, there has been a lot of good goals.
There's another couple that
I think there's so many.
There's a few. We're now at the point where they've played so many games that there are a few that I would have been like, yep, that's number one.
Yeah, I think that was the funnest thing about doing this. It's like going through some of these goals, being like, damn, Nashville has scored some pretty dang like good goals in the history of the club. It has been pretty sweet to go through.
I mean, that Surridge, it's the debut. He's coming on. He's, you think it's over.
All right.
And what added to it was that when it went to penalties, he Panenka the goalie.
Oh, so good. You
Like
knew that
in
confidence
his
was there.
debut. Like, come on, man. Like scoring in the last minute and Panenka a goalie in your debut to take your team to the quarterfinal is just that's top notch.
Dear
That's top
Sam
notch.
Surge, please bring that confidence back. That'd be terrific. Thank you,
Oh
man.
man, and it's like such a classic NSC like counterattack. Boom, 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 header. Like
Yeah.
that's what they do.
All right.
So that's my number one. Steven, what do you got?
I like your number one. Okay, so my number one, I feel like I probably could have waited to the later rounds for this goal, but I feel like this is kind of a draft winner, just specifically just based on history. And I feel the specific need to have this goal on my draft list. So this is why I'm drafting it so early. It will be March of 2023. USL legend scores a goal like it's his 50th time scoring it. Taylor Washington with the volley scissor kick against Montreal. His first goal in MLS was absolutely phenomenal. I feel like just based on the history of this show, just knowing Taylor, well, all of us knowing Taylor specifically and from USL standpoint, like going through like a goal list and being like, oh, you have a Taylor Washington goal on there, 1000%. That is absolutely why I'm picking this first. Taylor Washington against Montreal in 2023.
I love that pick. I definitely wouldn't have taken it first, but I love that someone did. Like sentimentality, that one's pretty high.
Absolutely. I think there's so
Yeah.
many different things around it. And like if you go through a list of like National SC goals and then see, oh, you're gonna think back, wait, Taylor Washington scored a volley as he jumped in the like fantastic. I'm here for it. I'm glad I went with that thing.
He's the last original. He's the last original to score a goal, and that will always be the case. So
Yep.
I mean, I get
Blair.
it. I love that it's first round.
I will. I don't know if this is gonna surprise y'all or not, but we're including USL in this, right?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I had to double check. Bradley
I'm the one who
Bourgeois.
put the segment together, so obviously,
Yeah,
USL.
absolutely.
Bradley Bourgeois versus Cincinnati.
Damn. Yep, that was one of
Yeah,
mine.
I mean, like, if for folks who weren't around there, eighth seed go to the first seed, who spend way more than the eighth seed, who had all sorts of things going for them, like a 20,000 plus people crowd and whatnot. Away from home after playing 3 or 4 times during the regular season and preseason against the same team, Cincinnati, Nashville. It was we all three of us were there in person in
Well, I mean, and
Cincinnati.
that is the famous that the me and shout out to Eli, old friend of the show, where like I'm sitting there like hyperventilating. There's a really good picture of that. That was Bradley Bourgeois' goal.
Yeah,
Where
Eli's
he's where
yelling at
he's
the other
flipping
fans.
off the crowd in Cincinnati pretty much while the picture's being taken.
It was incredible to be there for that. I think it's one of those moments where it kind of this was Nashville's first season as a professional team, so it kind of solidified Nashville, fans really with the club having traveled to a different city to see their team in the playoffs. Now, unfortunately, Nashville ended up exiting in penalty kicks, but that goal, I think, I mean, it was a great moment.
The best thing about like because Cincinnati scored right at the start of overtime, and I think we all kind of thought our goose was cooked. And so when you get a goal out of that situation, and then you possibly could have got a winner, if somebody would have finished. I think at the end of regulation, not at the end of overtime, but either way, it was one of those where it was like, yeah, you felt like you had clawed back into a game that you thought you were out of, and the fact that it was Bradley too, who was always so great with us, that only added to it.
Valer, your next pick.
And then for my next pick, the next one I have in line is also USL one, but I'm trying to maybe spread the wealth a little bit here. So I might go for my next one, which is Randall Leal versus Miami in the 2020 playoffs. Because my God, what a goal. Incredible hit. Here's the thing. I had a couple criteria when it came to this, and it was like, is the goal in itself nice? Like, how does it look? And then the importance of it. And this was like the perfect combo of those two, where it was very important because it was against Miami in the play-in game where Nashville ended up winning 3-0. And this was the first goal to open the scoring in that game. all in the first half, by the way. And what it meant in 2020 was that with all the pandemic and everything aside, even Nashville and Miami were kind of going back and forth into this. Well, there was no back and forth. The whole attention was on Miami. They're signing the stars. They have the money. And then Nashville was kind of coming in and nobody really cared. And then this solidified Nashville's spot in the league.
That's like one of the real bummers about whenever I was looking at the list is there are so many goals that I think I would have on my list from 2020 and 2021, but it was just hard to put them on there because it was not the same in the stands.
Yeah.
Right.
And that Randall Leal one is like that because I remember being at the game, and that was the only game I went to during, after the coronavirus started. That was the only one I went to. And what a great day to be there. But man, I sat there the whole time wishing that it was full for a playoff game whenever that game happened.
Yeah, I actually have a decent amount of 2020s on my list, but I don't want to go back to one of those 2020 goals. I actually want to, I don't want to spread the wealth, and I do want to go back to USL, but I think I'm going to go even before USL started against Atlanta United, first goal ever for Nashville SC. Rapapa Menza with the chip over the keep with, I believe it was over Brad Guzan. Chip over Brad Guzan, first goal ever just in Nashville SC history as the USL squad. It was fun to watch like that goal back and just see how good of a goal it actually was. Just the entire play itself was absolutely amazing. And then the finish was just absolutely legendary. I don't think I can't not have that one on my list. So Rapapa Menza, friendly versus ATL. I hope we accept that one. Do we accept that one?
We can accept it, but I won't call it the first goal in history because it's not.
Well, I mean, I know it's not specifically the first goal in history, but
I'm just being anal.
That's fine.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna take that one, I feel like I'm pretty fortunate here because I could really have
You
some
could do
fun.
it. You could do
Yeah,
it.
I'm not going to. I am going to take one of them. So I'm also going to go Ropapa Mensa and superior feeling in the stands over that one. This was a tough one between this one and another one that will 100% get picked in this draft. But right at the death against North Carolina FC, if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. The only thing that even really comes close to me is the Sam Surridge goal because it just felt so deserved when Mensah scored. It was off a free kick, goes into the box, Bourgeois heads it across the goal. Mensah scores on a scramble in front of the goal. It is the last kick of the game. They had added a full minute to added time because they kept wasting time. North Carolina SC kept wasting time. And unbelievable feeling after the game. And the best thing about those days is that you finish the game, then you went across the street to Von Elrod's, and after a win like that, you got to celebrate with the team after the game.
Yeah.
It was
I
unbelievable.
mean, and that goal's insane with Ropapa just running down the end line pretty much. Like it was absolutely fantastic to see. I had a feeling he would be on here a couple times, so that is a very good one. Do you know what? I think then, huh?
No, Clay goes again, right?
I go again.
Oh, snake drafts. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Slow your roll.
I'm excited.
So I have a couple that I think I may prefer over this, but I'm going to take this one because I think the feeling was so cool. And that was in 2021, Hani Mukhtar in an MVP race against somebody else. It's not an Austin show, and we're not going to talk about him. Go playing Austin FC at home, MVP race to secure it, to secure the win, to basically secure MVP. Just a classic Nashville goal at home. It's just Mukhtar's second goal against Austin. I mean, what more could you ask?
That match itself will always be one of my favorite NSC matches in history, specifically. So I love this pick.
Yeah, it's one of those where like you're in a moment and you saw that goal happen. The fans are chanting MVP as loud as they've ever chanted MVP at Geodis Park. You knew that he won it in that moment. There was not enough time left in the season to really make up for that. And I don't think there was any doubt. When he scored his second goal there, I think we all knew he was winning MVP. And what a I said 2021. I meant 2022. You knew what I meant. But yeah, what just a great atmosphere, especially post game.
I think I'm just going to do it and stick going with the same direction that my list has since it hasn't been picked yet. I'm going to do it uh, again against Atlanta, except just in a different competition. Walker Zimmerman, first MLS goal. Um, I think that's an extremely easy pick to have, the one that will always be there in history. The energy of us scoring that goal was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just Walker himself, the energy that he was feeling. Um, I mean, I will
Short
never
hair Walker.
ever, huh?
Short hair Walker.
Short hair
Too.
Walker. I will never ever forget that moment. And I don't think a lot of us will. So absolutely, that'll be my next pick.
Yeah, there's a picture, a pretty big print of that picture in the locker room for Nashville SC. It's clearly a big moment in the club history, if you couldn't tell. Um, I have two picks here. And honestly, this is harder than I thought because I listed the goals that I like, but now I'm like I'm questioning my ranking of all of them. So I will go with it too. And let me just say these are pure vibes. Like I think I can make an argument for all of these,
Wow. I
but
think
I'm
I
just gonna
know
go with the
one of
vibe
them
here.
that's going to be picked, and that was my next one. So please continue, Valer.
So the first one I'm gonna pick here for our third pick is Mukhtar versus Minnesota in the League's Cup. Now, it was the fifth goal, so the importance of it might have not been there, but the way that goal looks, just do me a favor, pause this podcast right now and go watch that goal. It is well, and then come back so you hear the rest of this. But it is one of those goals that just flows so well.
Yeah.
Dax McCarty back heel. So Mukhtar starts the corner, gives it to Lovitz, I believe, passes it short. Lovitz back to Mukhtar. Mukhtar to somebody, then somebody to McCarty, who back heels it back to Mukhtar, who does that classic like finish from the corner. Y'all know what I'm talking about, from the side where he just puts it on the roof of the net. I remember when that pass happened, when Dax McCarty played that pass, I literally stood up and had my hands in the press. This is in the press box, had my hands on my head, like, oh my God, we just saw this. I know it's not a very important goal because, again, it was 5-0 at that point. Well, that was the 5-0, but like that goal is so beautiful. And as an Arsenal fan, like, come on, guys.
I
This is
can't
like the most
I can't
Arsenal.
pause this podcast because I'm recording it, but I need to go back and see this goal because I do not remember it at all.
You'll remember it when you see it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just love that goal so much. I love it so much. As a goal, again, there's multiple criterias. And then my next pick is gonna have to be, again, we're running off vibes. This has got to be Cadiz versus Orlando in
Yes.
the 3-1.
Yes. Let's go.
Come
That
on,
was on
y'all.
my list. That
That's
was
That
definitely on
was
my list.
It's on my
Nissan
list
Stadium
too, but like
2021. John Deere Cadiz playoffs, just just amazing. Nashville was already winning 2-1, I believe, at the time.
yeah.
And he just runs off onto the goalie, puts it in. Incredible, incredible scenes. Uh I have so many friends who like remember that goal. I feel like they talk to me about it often.
I
Like
remember
it's
so many
yeah.
things about that goal. I remember Daniel Perez and right when he got subbed in, shout out to Daniel Perez, friend of the pod, just like, oh my God, he's the worst ever. And then he scores the goal, and I turn to him right on the capo stand. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just going crazy. It was so much fun.
I actually had I'm not going to choose the other one, but Cadiz also scored another goal against Orlando.
I have that one on my list
Right
too, but I
before.
don't
Oh,
know.
you did? Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure it would make anybody's list because it was kind of forgotten about because again, it's in that COVID era. So it's like, so sorry if I ruined your pick, but uh, oh man, that was such a good. I wasn't sure if I should know better on this show that one would obviously get remembered by all three of us, but like that's an underrated goal. I feel like in Nashville SC history.
Oh, 1000%. And yeah, just what it meant and just the stadium vibes of like just securing that winner. Like we all get a lot of anxiety with these 2-1 games. And then when that goal went in, it was just anxiety gone. It was, yep, this is it. This is ours. I am going to go back to 2020 though for this next goal. I probably want to assume this is probably the most meme-worthy goal that Nashville SC had scored. And it did a lot. I still think just skill wise, it was probably one of the best Nashville SC goals that was scored. That would be USL legend Daniel Rios against Dallas with the dropping of the defender and scoring the goal. October 20 was the actual date, I believe. Yeah, I mean, that just. I remember when the 404 website, when National SC changed the 404, cannot find that website to that move, was absolutely legendary, absolutely fantastic. That goal on my list for sure.
Yeah, honestly, when you started talking, I already wrote it down before you said it. I know exactly what one you were talking about. Uh, not like the most meaningful, but certainly the most fun. And I'm sure the added bonus, especially for Valair, was that it was a former Tottenham defender that got put on his behind by Daniel Rios.
And the way he falls is hilarious because he's kind of like, you ever like play GTA? Like he's like wasted. Like that's it's pretty funny.
I I I'm feeling pretty good about my list right now because I genuinely can't believe that this got to the fourth round. And it's a goal that we've talked about on this show every season that this show has existed, guaranteed. And Valaire's already nodding his head. I know he knows what it is. And that's Bolu
Yeah,
Akinyoti
that was
versus
my next
Cincinnati.
pick. That was my next pick.
Like I had thought that that was certain first, second round material. Like that, I'm very happy to be getting that in the fourth round and a little surprised. But I mean, just an unbelievable goal. I've told the story on this about the guy named Seth in our section who thought that was the goal that sent Nashville SC to the playoffs and how jealous I am of that feeling. But just a great, one of the best games that NSC's ever played. Honestly, that Cincy game in terms of like suspense and enjoyment. There's the big pick and save right after it to secure a 3-3 draw. But Bowley versus Cincinnati, I mean, just an absolute rocket. I don't even know that it needs much more explaining than that, to be honest.
No, I don't think it does. That was going to be my next pick specifically. And I would have been extremely happy with my list if that one was on it. Like I felt like I would have clinched it if that one was on my list. But unfortunately you
Yo,
got that
hold
one.
on, hold on. You're really
Unfortunately,
forgetting the structure again.
yeah, unfortunately, I get another pick. And I really do I really think that this has worked out very well for me. My last pick, arguably the biggest goal that NSC has scored, and that is Fafa Pico versus Monterrey to officially send Nashville into a Leagues Cup final against Messi. Scored late. It looked like Nashville was going to hold on, but it just sealed the deal. Great goal from Fafa. And just an unbelievable feeling in the stands that they had done it. They had beaten Club America and Monterrey back to back. Just unbelievable feeling in the stands watching that goal go in.
I like forgetting the structure here. It's been a lot of fun for me because then I get excited and then it doesn't happen when I want
I
it.
thought that was going to pop you guys. You guys don't care about that goal at all.
Not
It
really.
wasn't on my list to be honest with you, but
Not
I
on
don't
mine
think it
either.
was like but now that you say it, like I understand the importance of it, but I think in like that Leagues Cup run, there were so many others that caught my attention. So like I was just like, that's enough Leagues Cup goals, you know? Like I was just,
Yeah.
I think it was more that than anything
I
else.
mean,
Yeah,
I'm
Clay
just
has
saying,
a
like,
list with specifically 2 Leagues Cup goals on it when it comes to the history of NSC, and I still find that wild.
I have 2 Leagues Cup goals, 2 USL Cups, 2 USL goals, and an MLS one. I like my list, but that Fafa Pico feeling in the stands, I don't know that there's ever been a goal that I felt that way in the stands other than maybe the Sam Surge one, to like go to a final because Nashville's never gone to a final in any other, competition.
Right.
So anyway, that being said, Steven, you're up.
All right, so I think with the Boloak and Yodi goal being gone, I think my last goal for this draft is going to be straight vibes, 1000%. Just being there was amazing. It was very similar, like definitely not as meaningful as that Jonder Cadiz goal, but I think a very kind of similar feeling. And that would be August 28th, 2021 in Atlanta. Joe Willis with the absolute drop kick of a pass down to Randall Leal, which then opened net for Randall Leal to score, get that 2-0 win. The last minute vibe of that goal and just being in the away end, just watching everybody in Atlanta leave, how quiet it was just absolutely such a vibe and experience, and I loved it. And I would do anything to get that feeling back. That would be my last pick.
I've been using the gif of me doing the fist pumps after that goal on my Twitter and text messages for years. That was a great game to be at.
That was such I mean,
Funny story.
because that's the Daniel Rios also scoring in this great, just iconic picture. Great.
Those two trips to Atlanta, because the 2-2 was the other one where Nashville tied it up late. Like those two trips to Atlanta that year, unbelievable scenes both times towards the end of the game.
So I had fully intended to be in that at that game, and by the time I got to Chattanooga, I started feeling sick, and I was staying in Chattanooga for a night, then driving to Atlanta the next morning.
I
And
remember this.
because I was sick, I never ended up going to Atlanta. So I had to watch it in Chattanooga, but it was so hard to watch it back then. I had to like sign up to like 3 different services just to find the game. And I missed like most of it anyway. So yeah, that was an interesting time for sure for me. But I'm glad y'all had a good time.
I almost
All
had a
right,
Nashville
last
fan
pick.
fight me that match. That was a great old match. It was wild.
So I have like 15 goals left on here, and I have to pick one of them. And
We'll,
I
we'll
don't.
get we'll get some honorable mentions out after you do it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do some honorable mentions. I think there's so many to pick from. I think. Well, I don't think. I'm gonna go with. Uh, you know what? We'll go with. No, no, no. I'm really on the spot here. Okay, okay. We'll do Jacob Schaffelberg versus Miami in the Champions Cup
Ooh,
just
that's a
recently.
good shout.
That was a good show.
Yeah, I think that goal is very nice. It's a very, very good goal. Celebration with the baby and all that is obviously gives it a really good story too. Schaffelberg, that was his second goal of the game. Miami, obviously are Miami, so like having that on the field was great. Unfortunately, Nashville SC did not win that game because I think if they did, that would make this goal even more sort of memorable. Um, Especially if they had qualified to the next round, surpassing Miami. But still, nothing to take away from this goal. It's incredible. And I remember waiting at the stadium for about an hour and a half after the match ended just to speak to Schaffelberg, who was getting drug tested randomly, and yeah, we waited there with a bunch of people covering the game, and I didn't want to go home. I was like, I need to talk to him. Like he played really well that game. So Jacob Schaffelberg for sure. I do want to say one honorable mention before, because I know we're all gonna get into this, but one honorable mention that wasn't actually a goal, but it was a goal in our hearts, all of our hearts, is that Hani Mukhtar goal against Monterrey that didn't count for an Alex Muyl offside, which honestly, BS call. I don't care. I don't care. It was such a good goal. It was incredible, and it should have counted because that would have been one hell of a way to start the match. So I just want to get that out of my system before I let
I would
others.
love to do honorable mentions that weren't goals that if they would have went in, because I could do that too, because I literally
Well,
had
it went in. It went in, but the ref didn't thought it was an offside. It
because
went
redoing
in.
that
It was a goal.
Ethan Zubak versus FC Dallas when he had like the behind like the in air Rabona like back heel
Ah,
that hit the crossbar. I was yeah, I don't know. How do you want to do honorable mentions, Clay?
I mean, just throw some out. I mean, I'll go ahead and get you started. There's a couple on here that I really thought about before taking Fafa. I thought Fafa just gave me a better feeling than one of course, CJ Sapong's last goal at FC Cincy when Nashville scored six. If you were
I have
there,
the Lobo one on my list.
yeah, if you were there,
That's
Lobo
funnier
making
to
this list
me.
would have been awesome. Uh, but if you were there, you remember we had migrated down, and as we were going down to the front row is when Sapong scored, so he was able to like celebrate in Cincy section on the lower end of the field, and it was just a really good time, a pure vibes pick. like that away game in Cincy where Nashville came back from 2 goals down and just dominated the second half. Without a doubt, one of my all-time favorite road trips. Um, then one of the best goals I've ever seen in person. Another, sort of fun road trip thing. Cameron Lancaster scoring against Hartford.
Yep.
Genuinely one of the best goals I've ever seen in person. Levo Maloto versus Penn FC, both of them just great, unbelievable goals from the USL days. And then go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, those were
okay.
Matt LaGrassa against Toronto, but we drew that game, but he celebrated with me, and they made a big deal out of that in the USL days. But man, that Lancaster goal at Hartford, if you haven't seen it, go look it up. It's a great goal.
Yeah.
The next one on my list, I just didn't want to take a goal from the same game, was Dax McCarty 2020 against Miami as well.
Yep.
He runs from Nashville's half onto Miami's half and contested. Matuidi, the World Cup winner, just uninterested in doing anything. And it just slots it in the corner. Really simple, really easy. You would think this is like a preseason friendly. This is a play-in match to make the playoffs. And I think that was like, and that was like a really funny goal type of thing, but also like really good technique because he finished it. And then Godoy Bike versus Columbus just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Come on. That was
I
nice.
thought about that one too. I didn't know where I wanted to put. Like it was weird. Go ahead.
I have one more, and that is the Luke Hawkinson brace versus Toronto to turn the game around. Those were my 3 next ones.
Yeah, I ended up going vibes, specifically just based on whatever. But I think I had like the couple honorable mentions I was still considered taking. I still think it's probably the best free kick goal in Nashville SC history would be Hani Mukhtar, Houston 2020. Like that was an absolute banger. I still think that one was better than the Chicago one. Like he just completely froze. The keeper was going the right direction and he froze. Like just absolutely froze. I believe Mukhtar scored a hat trick that game.
Brace.
Yeah.
He was a brace in the first half and got substituted before the second half started.
That's right. That was.
Why do I remember that? That's too much.
Because we still hadn't had a player score a hat trick at that point. Like it was like this is going to be the best because Rios got too early a bunch and then never said. I do want to say that one of my absolute favorite ones is I don't even remember what goal it happened, but I know the GIF afterwards. There's 2 of them. One is Valaire losing his mind with friend of the show, Tony. And another one is Steven, where it looks like he may need to change his pants. If you haven't seen that one, I'll add it to the thread. I've used it several times in text messages that don't involve Steven. That's how funny it is.
I have no clue what GIF this is.
It may have been the one with Jayon Brown at the game. I'm not sure. Shout out to Jayon Brown, wherever he is these days.
When I made his girlfriend really angry that I called him, he's a free agent, by the way. I called him Jalen on accident because I'm not a Titans fan, and his girlfriend got really mad, but he didn't care. Another goal before my internet decided to cut out, I had on my honorable mentions thread. I just thought this was an extremely random goal, but I'm like with Valaire where I don't think nobody picked this, but it was from the same game. Daniel Lovitz. Oh, that is a good one. Okay. I do know that one. That's but Clay just pulled up the Daniel Lovitz against Orlando, that right-footed outside the box banger. I don't know, it was absolutely amazing. It was the most FIFA goal of all time, where it ricocheted twice, and he just decided to take it with his weak foot, which I didn't even know Daniel Lovitz had a right foot like that. That goal is amazing.
Daniel Lovitz against Philly is one of the great what-if goals. If he would have scored that goal against Philly in the playoffs. And by the way, this is how much results can affect. How many of us would have said Hani versus Philly if Nashville wouldn't have given up that goal?
Oh, for sure. 1,000%.
Yeah. So anyway, what's your favorite Nashville SC goal? Let us know. We're going to thread all of these later this week. And just to recap what everybody's choices were, I'm going to start with Steven. His choices were Taylor Washington versus Montreal, Ropapa Mensah versus Atlanta in preseason. Walker Zimmerman versus Atlanta, the first goal in NSC's MLS history. Daniel Rios putting the Tottenham guy on his behind against FC Dallas, and Randall Leal at Atlanta to seal it. A 2-0 win at
I
Atlanta.
have 3 goals against Atlanta United on mine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And then for Valère, we've got Bradley Bourgeois versus Cincinnati in overtime in the playoffs in USL. Randall Leal versus Miami in the playoffs in the first season in 2020. Hani Mukhtar versus Minnesota to seal a 5-0 win in Leagues Cup. Jandra Cadiz in the playoffs against Orlando. And Jacob Schaffelberg's second goal in the Champions Cup against Miami. So Valère, no regular season goals included whatsoever.
They're not important.
And then for mine, the winning list, of course, Sam Surridge versus Club America in Leagues Cup. Ropapa Mensah's the goal at the death against North Carolina FC in 2018. Hani Mukhtar's second goal against Austin FC in 2022. Bolu Akinyote versus Cincinnati in the final game of the 2018 regular season. And Fafa Pico in Leagues Cup against Monterrey. So which of those lists do you think is the best? Let us know. Which goals are absolutely being snubbed by not being on any of our lists? You let us know. We will get all of these put on Twitter later this week. And yeah, what do you guys think? This is a nice little exercise.
This is a lot of fun, and I still want to talk about more goals now that I'm thinking about it, but we can't.
Well, as we know, there are 351 goals in Nashville SC's history, and Steven somehow managed to choose one that's not included in the 351. So
Next time we do wins or wins would be fun.
If I don't get to continue with that one, my next goal pick is a Randall Leal against Cincinnati pick where it was a cross for sure, but it went in. So there we go.
I'm just surprised nobody took Big Bird. I think the next draft should be draws. That'd be more Nashville SC appropriate.
That's draws in SC.
So,
Inter Miami 0-0 would be number one for sure. When they went to Fort Lauderdale after losing to Atlanta 4-0, that was.
And being at that game was something. Okay, no, we can't do this now. I could go in another 10 minutes of this. We can't do this now.
All right. We'll be back with the third and final segment in today's Pharma Soccer.
And we are back right here on Pharmaceutical Soccer at Pharma Soccer on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as always, you can check us out on our Patreon at Pharma Soccer. We also have a website, pharmasoccer.com. We'd love to have you check all of those out, see what we're all about, what we do. Obviously, that last segment definitely showed how much we care about this this squad, what it means. Shout out to Clay for coming up with that idea. I think that was really great. And a lot of fun to go through. Just kind of had that history, so appreciate that for sure. But look, third segment, with Nashville not playing, it was an international break. Do we want to just kind of go over just the players specifically? I mean, I don't want to go over the U.S. game.
I'm good not talking about the national teams.
We don't want to talk about USMNT because they lost 5-1 and it was kind of wild. But Anibal Godoy did start both games for Panama. I think that's worth mentioning. Jacob Schaffelberg came off the bench in both games against Netherlands and France, which, by the way, Canada lost to the Netherlands 4-0, but then went and got a 0-0 draw in France against France, which I think is a pretty good result for them, even with Mbappe not playing. And then Shaq Moore did not participate against Colombia. Now the U.S. does have another game against Brazil coming up, where I would assume he'll probably get a few minutes here or there, just based on the injuries to the other fullbacks.
Well, that, and if you lose 5-1, it's probably a good idea to change everybody at some point, and maybe Shaq Moore being into it would not be a bad thought or result.
Clearly, the problem was that no MLS players started against the national team or started for the national team, because all we hear is the European guys need to start. And so he started 11 Europeans and they lost 5-1.
And that's what happens. Anybody watch CST over the week, by the way? Did anybody get into the soccer tournament?
Bits and pieces. Mike Grella scored a banger for Pat McAfee's team. I know that much. So shout out to Grelladinho, considering this is a Red Bull New York week.
I think it was a lot of fun just to see who was on what team. So, like, Michael Reed was on Jamie Watson's team, which was wild to me. There was a name, Liam Collins, on one of the teams who played for NPSL National FC. So that was a lot of fun. But the finals tonight, Monday, June 10th, if you want to watch that, it's Nani FC versus, I don't know, some random team for $1 million.
La Bombonera.
That one. And then the U.S. women's in the final as well against, I believe, North Carolina is the team that they're
Yeah,
playing.
the North Carolina Courage team.
So watch that. But there was also,
or don't watch that. I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to do.
They are fun. I will say this. They are fun games to watch. I don't think I can watch a whole week of them, but they are fun games. It's probably a good time in person.
I mean, shout out to, I mean, I watched one of the Jamie Watson games and him scoring a goal. Like, I felt that because I know he's had a long, like occurrence with injuries and stuff like that have really sucked. So to see him score, that was amazing. I love that. But yeah, that's what I got too. Valere, you watched some other soccer over the weekend though, as well. Not MLS specifically, but some MLS Next Pro action.
Yeah, I watched pretty much the whole Huntsville game. They're on their way back. I think they're a better team than what the results show. They're also under an interim manager, which I think really affects a lot in what they're building towards. But they're no longer last in MLS Next Pro. Again, I know we talk about the results not being the most important thing in that league. They are still important, though. I mean, you don't want to be the worst team in the league. And they are, by numbers, no longer the worst team in the league. So good for them. They're the second worst team in the league now. But in all honesty, that the last few weeks, barring one result, things have been going really well for Huntsville. They ended up winning 4-2 against Crown Legacy FC at home. That was their first home win. Forster Rajago with a brace, which puts him up to 7 goals this season, including 2 in the Champions Cup and 5 with Huntsville, with 1 assist as well for Huntsville. He's doing really well. He's averaging about a goal or an assist every 60, 70 minutes, something around there. Again, Nashville SC already used the international spot for him. So he could feature for NSC and MLS now. He's fully available and under, I'm assuming, the coach's discretion to be involved with Nashville. Otherwise, they've scored 8 goals. That's Huntsville. They've scored 8 goals in their last 2 games. And then in all of the games before that, they scored 10 goals total. So just to put it into perspective on how big those 2 games have been for them. There's a couple other players who have been kind of stepping up there. A brand new player they got on loan from Indy 11 actually is O'Brien, who I thought played a really good match. And he didn't play the whole 90, but he's been with the team for like 8 days and already played 2 games. So he's a little bit older, so a little bit more on that. But they've also featured a lot of young guys, a lot of academy guys. And like last game, Adam Sipic did end up scoring as well. So there's a good mix now of academy products as well as professional players playing for them, which is already better than the first season where it was like there were very few academy products involved because it was the first season for them.
Another goal scorer over the weekend was also Woovens Pacius, who is signed by NSC coming out of the Canadian League. That's a good sign. He hadn't played. He'd been hurt. So another guy to keep an eye out on, another attacking potential down the line. So I'm going to Huntsville actually for the game on Sunday. So that'll be my first time down there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. No, that's terrific to see and hear with the team itself. But now that international break will be over on Saturday, we do have another national. But for that, actually, I think we talk about this first. What's going on Wednesday, Clay?
Yeah, Nashville Rhythm are playing Wednesday. So I hope to see you guys there. It's their last home game of the regular season. We had just a really impressive showing from fans coming out last Friday. A lot of people coming to their first ever game. Unfortunately, it didn't work out the way that we all would have liked, but I think people got a sense that these are good players. There is a good level of talent in this league, and there are people who are playing for national youth setups that play in this league every single week. And so it's a good chance to see some players that you may see playing professionally down the line. It is the first ever, women's Nashville derby, if you want to look at it that way, as the Rhythm will be playing. They'll be playing against Nashville Wolves, FC Wolves, and I I think the Rhythm would be heavily favored in that. It's also worth noting that it is not the first ever Nashville derby, as on the men's side, we once saw Nashville SC play against Inter Nashville, and that was a very fun game. That I believe is that when Robin Schrute scored. I believe it was.
Robin
So
Schrute, he scored at the end, but I believe it was Tucker Hume. I think he scored. Tucker Hume scored as well that game. I know that for sure.
either way, shout out to Robin Schrute. He may have had that might have been the game with 2 assists. I don't know. Shout out to Robin Schrute. But either way, please come out Wednesday. Father Ryan High School. Tickets are like $10, and it's a chance to support women's soccer in Nashville, and we hope that you do. So cool.
Cool.
Hope to see you.
And then on Saturday, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Nashville SC will be taking on Red Bull New York. I believe this game is in New Jersey, so that's always a tough spot for Nashville to play for sure. We've had a lot of not great experiences playing soccer in New Jersey. I also know that yeah, I mean, Red Bull is also a really weird team right now when it comes to they're way better than I think that people expected, but they also just lost to New England, which is always fun to. Well, but I guess
well, hold on. Let me tell you. First of all, people expected the Red Bulls to be good this year because they signed Emil Forsberg, who is an incredible player. They also have a really good team overall. So
but did you expect them to be in fourth place, Flair? Did you expect them to be in fourth?
I don't look up where I put them. I probably put them close to that in my preseason prediction. Like I thought they had a good team coming into the season, and I think that played out. The other thing is that they lost to New England 1-0 playing like a bunch of kids, honestly. I was watching that game on Saturday. It was not the Red Bulls team that has been playing all season because of international break and because of some injuries as well. So I take that with a grain of salt, at least a grain of salt with that loss. Otherwise, I think they're a very, very good team. They haven't lost at home yet. They have 2 draws at home, 5 wins. They're looking really good. Lewis Morgan is on an absolute heater. He got called up to the Scottish national team, actually, I believe. I think I'm saying Scotland, right? He's Scottish.
Yeah.
So Lewis Morgan, he's now back to his form that before the injury he's in. Obviously, Emil Forsberg, it's really good. And then Dante Van Zier seems to be getting there. He does have 9 goal contributions already this season, which I believe is already more than what he did last season. And he hasn't gotten any disciplinary actions based on racist stuff he's saying.
I was going to say
that's good.
He's definitely got more goals and less racist incidents. So that is exactly what you want to have from your starting striker.
I think any Red Bull fan would appreciate that. And a fan of the league, I guess, too. Just less racism. I know that's controversial, but that's where I stand.
That's very good.
And then the last thing I'll say about the Red Bulls is that they're playing similarly to how they always play. The only difference is they kind of like the ball a little bit more. And with a new coach, I mean, it's not going to be expansive, tiki-taka soccer or anything. They're still pressing really high, but it is more with this coach that they are keeping possession.
And it's also prior to the New England game, they had won, I believe, 4 of their previous 5, with the only loss being a shorthanded loss in a rivalry game against NYCFC. We all know how hard it is to watch a team in MLS win 4 out of 5, no matter what. And so they are definitely not to be trifled with, and a pretty good challenge coming out of a 2-week break to see how NSC responds after one of the worst losses of the season.
Sandro Schwarz, I couldn't remember his name. The manager is Sandro Schwarz. This is his first season with the Red Bulls. I believe he's German. Anyway, That's where I had to say that.
Well, let's do the predictions and plugs and get those out of the way. So, Valer, why don't you just keep going, keep the train
He
rolling?
is German. I just looked it up. Anyway, I think this is gonna be a loss for National SC, and I'm predicting a 1-0 loss to the Red Bulls, where it's gonna look ugly and no one's gonna have fun watching this game, including the Red Bull fans who will win. That's where and check me out at Valer Shabilla on all socials and everything, and YouTube as well. We had a little bit of a hiccup with on air with Valer, new episode coming up, so it is coming. I don't know when because we don't know when we're filming it. So when we know that, we'll let everybody else involved. But until then, obviously I'll have all the coverage on Twitter and Instagram and Threads. So make sure to follow at Valer Shabilla.
You can
Right.
check me out at Play La Soul on Instagram and Twitter. You can also check out the Nashville Soccer Archive. Like I said, I am accepting donations that will be going into the physical archive at Vanderbilt. We just received a very generous donation from Jeff Dooley. If you have any more things that you don't even know are significant and you want to give, please let me know, and we'll get it put away and preserved for the future of Nashville soccer historians. On a related note, you should also check out Kicking at 615. They do good work there. And as for what I'm going to predict a boring, uh, dire, annoying 1-1 draw. Like, like just a paint drying draw of a game. And you know what? I would consider that a result. So I'll take it. So 1-1 draw with the goal coming from Sam Surge.
At PH Steven HD on all of our on all of the socials, whatever. Also a farmer at Soccer News as well. Kind of not really. We're also on a new platform called Goals TV. A bunch of soccer episodes there. So if you do want to listen to us, golz.tv, you'll always find the episode there. So check that out. And thank you to the Goals team for hosting our podcast on their platform. Just looking to expand the Nashville SC soccer coverage, and they wanted to help out. So we appreciate that.
And we're on YouTube now as well, because of the recent change to the Google podcast situation. If you listen to podcasts on YouTube, all the 2024 episodes are now on there, and going forward, every single episode will be on YouTube as well.
I love the fact that you both picked boring games and yet none of you picked a 0-0 score line. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the most boring game of all time, and it will be a 0-0 draw. No goals will be scored. No fun will be had, even with the Red Bull fans specifically.
Zero shots on target.
Zero fun. There will be zero fun. Thank you again so much for listening to the episode. We know this was a longer one, especially with the international break. We really do appreciate it. We'll be back next week to talk about that Red Bull match and kind of get back into our normal format. But also do not be afraid to give us your prediction, your goals, your favorite goals, and all that type of stuff. I know Clay will be dropping those on the Pharma Soccer account sometime this week. Yeah, we really appreciate you guys listening, and we will talk to you next week and hope you have a good rest of your week.